And a great satellite picture this afternoon, I'm sure you'd agree. There we are, British Isles at midday. And on that, breaking out during the course of this afternoon, driving in from the west here. This is the front that occurred this morning, taking the rain away. Notice the flat feature in this cloud, typical of frontal cloud. And then notice too here, look, the lumpy nature of the cloud coming into western Scotland and the west of Ireland. These are convective cumulus clouds which produce the showers. Also, just about make out here across the Pennines, the remnants of the trough that crossed the Pennines, bringing heavy showers this morning to northwest England, parts of western Wales and southwest England as well. But that just got disrupted as it went across the Pennines and broke up. One or two showers down in the southwest, but I'm sure you agree, a lovely satellite picture there for this afternoon. Now, a report released by NASA yesterday has confirmed that 2013 is one of the warmest on record again. What it's saying is it's part of a handful of the warmest years that have occurred since 1880. And their data, they say, is independently verified and just confirms that the warming process is still underway. What they're not addressing, though, and I've put this in amusing too, is the idea that I've been talking about for months now, which is, for years actually, which is this elephant in the room of temperatures having stabilised, that the warming process seems to have slowed down. Now, this isn't a denial of anthropogenic global warming, it's not a denial of climate change, it's just a statement of the facts. And this is an interesting chart from climateforyou.com, and the red, basically what we got here are blue colours, which are satellite observations, and the red colours, which are land surface-based observations. And then we've got a 5-year mean line running through each of these. So the red line here is the mean of the land observations. The blue line here is the mean of satellite observations going back to 1979. And you can notice how, look, we saw this sharp rise in temperatures take place until 1999, and then it kind of hovered and hovered, and we saw a rise go on to 2001, but then since then, look, this line has stayed relatively flat. So although we're still, undeniably, we're still above the anomaly, so we're still seeing a warming of sort of 0.4 degrees per year. That rate of warming seems to have slowed down, and this hiatus in warming seems to be ongoing. So there's lots of research at the moment going into this to do some research as to exactly what's going on. Of course, what isn't in denial at the moment is that CO2 levels are rising, and that seems to be having an impact on our oceans, and you see more in the musings about that. And certainly I guess that what it should do is make us more aware of the energy that we use, of the impact that we're having on the atmosphere. But as you know, I'm a fence-sitting skeptic. I kind of jump both sides of the argument, which I guess is quite an easy position to take, isn't it? It's the cop-out. But, I get swayed both ways. But I have to say that probably on the balance of things, it does look like things are warming up. But I just think that scientists need to address, climatologists need to address this particular problem in order to get this into the public's conscious that, look, this is what we expect to see, but generally the planet is warming and we need to prepare for the consequences of that taking place. So just an interesting report coming out there. Back to the weather of the next few days, and this westerly flow that we've had, this jet that's just been in there for several days now, looks as if it's going to continue. Just interested to compare the models, where they are in a few days' time. So this is the chart from the ECMWF for midnight on the 29th. So this is midnight next Wednesday. And what's interesting is just to see this trough that's down here, look, deep into Europe. This idea of these troughs passing through, becoming cut off, and then moving away into central parts of Europe to be followed by a build of a ridge and then a westerly flow is one that certainly seems to be there with all the models now. This is ECMWF for the 29th, and notice that, I pressed the wrong button there. Notice that it's got the low centered here, look, and that's quite a wintry looking low. So I'm not ruling out the risk of any sleet or snow from these little low pressure systems as they come through. You could well find that rain falls, but then turns increasingly to sleet and snow, particularly over higher ground. It's just difficult to tell exactly where it's going to be. Compare that with the GFS Ensemble look, and the GFS Ensemble goes for a similar sort of pattern, and what it does is it puts these areas of low pressure down over Central Europe. Look, there's our trough in here, and there's the ridge building out to the west, getting ready for the westerly flow to come through. And that too is quite a wintry look. As the wind's coming into the east or the northeast, it will turn precipitation increasingly to sleet and to snow. Compare it to the Canadian. Canadian goes with a similar theme for the same time frame look. It's got this ridge in here again there, but we've got, sorry, the trough in there. We've got this ridge out towards the west, building again, getting ready to take us back into a westerly flow, and it has the low here. So basically you've got the GEM here, we've got the GFS kind of placing the low over there, and we've got the ECMWF with a low across the UK. So actually quite good agreement between them all that we see this trough come through during next week, bringing a limited hit of wintry conditions. It may produce some snow, particularly across the east and the south on that. I think a dusting is probably more likely, and probably ice is more likely to be the main problem. But interesting to see that sort of agreement between the models. However, that agreement doesn't continue throughout, because the Canadian tries to do this look. It tries to build the ridge back in. It wants us into a westerly of sorts, but then it gets the ridge building back in, and it leads us into still some cold weather hanging on across the southeast, but generally bringing us into drier westerly flow from the west. ECMWF over the subsequent days just takes it back into the west and northwest. There's the 1st of February look, and that has quite a cold look to it too, with the flow coming in from the northwest. So again, wintry showers across northern and western areas and staying pretty unsettled on that pattern, but no signs of real winter. What's interesting is that ECMWF basically almost matches entirely with its longer range predictions, which unfortunately I can't show you on here, but it does match with those, the idea of this westerly jet getting in, and incidentally it just keeps those there through to the middle part of February. And then the GFS Ensemble, as we just knocked forwards look, goes into a westerly. This seems to me to be entirely believable. Stays as a westerly all the way through. Occasionally we're getting troughs move through. Look, there's one just marked in here coming through. As the GFS Ensemble goes on, you do get more smoothing effects, so the troughs become harder to spot. But you notice, look, as we go through, we just stay in that westerly flow, low to the north, high to the south, and I think basically what we see now is probably what we're going to get. And that tends to lead me into the idea of us perhaps seeing a wetter than normal February as well. I'll try and put some maps together for that. As far as the CFS goes today, well, much as you'd expect really. You've got to twist your head round for this one, but much as you'd expect, British Isles is under here. Look, week one showing us with the ridge out to the west. We've got the trough out towards the UK here. We've got a ridge out towards the east as well, and into week two showing us the trough still look through the British Isles. So still this idea of cool conditions through the British Isles with low pressure tending to want to be down here somewhere, which is exactly what we're likely to see. And then into week three, similar again, the low though tending to be further towards the east here. Look, here's that flow. The jet stays within that position, mainly across and to the south of us, so we stay in this relatively cool flow. And then week four, well, as you were, lower than normal heights, centered out towards the east. There's the jet coming in, look, and really very little change showing up on there. As far as the MJO is concerned, Nick Maguire from Leicestershire, one of the WeatherWeb registered regular users, and regularly ask questions, and it's great to get questions in from you, so do please feel free to do that. And Nick was just saying about the MJO, what is the MJO, and sometimes you show it, sometimes you don't. Well, this is the MJO from the CFS for the next 30 days, and the MJO is basically a measure of convection and the link between convection and the tropics and the Indian Ocean, and how that teleconnects in with other cycles around the globe. And at times it's useful for making a prediction, but at other times making a longer range prediction, but at other times it loses that usefulness, and this is one of those times, which is why I haven't shown it. You notice how basically what we've got here are the black colours indicate current conditions, so where we've been, look, from the 1st of January, and then the colours here represent various different runs of the GFS. So if you take a middle line, it's kind of taken us around there somewhere, and here are the different phases, and each phase corresponds to a different weather regime. However, what we want is for these lines to be further out, so ideally somewhere around here. When they're close to this central neutral area here, it doesn't really help much in terms of forecasting, which is why I haven't shown it to you recently. But that's what the MGO is, and when it becomes relevant again, I'll bring it back and show you. But I'll leave you with that for now. I really do think that that's the chart of the day, really, because that's the setup that we're likely to be seeing sometime, this west to west northwest flow. The jet stream on that, by the way, is in here. As soon as I can show you, there we are. The jet stream is in there, powering its way through. There's a section of it actually that dips down through here as well, but that almost becomes cut off at that point by that cold pool. So yeah, basically what we see is what we get. So once again, thanks for watching weatherweb.net. Whatever you're doing, have a great day and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.